All right, we're seeing the the classic triple hunter. It is the EU region. We do have 3 of them in for this map. Out of pretty much everybody actually in the time trials ran this composition. Sanguine is kind of the operative affix we got going on in here this week. So Sanguine Motherload, all about the Peacekeeper management. And these two teams have some slightly different strategies that we've seen so far in this dungeon. Method EU in particular has done a lot of different stuff in here. Right now, it looks like it's going to be this big meld into a bunch of Peacekeepers at the start from Method EU.
Yeah, exactly. I was wondering what Now was doing, because he was holding his meld for an awful long time while the rest of his group ran off to the right-hand side. But yeah, they're doing that Paint for Fem style strategy where they're activating all the Peacekeepers, dropping combat with everything to make sure they don't proxy pull stuff, and then just getting those Peacekeepers. It's a pretty efficient count, and we've seen teams pull it even into coin-operated crowd pummeler like you probably are going to look to see Method EU do here momentarily. Perplexed is playing something of more of a standard route where they're just kiting. It's a really big pull, but they're just kiting like a triple Peacekeeper and like a couple Assassins around.
Yeah, this is much more of what you'd normally see in a Motherload, like on a live key setting. They didn't use their Bloodlust, though, so both teams... Actually, we've got a Bloodlust from Method EU going into the boss, whereas Perplexed saved their Lust here, presumably for this pull, as this pull is slightly bigger than that first one that they did.
Oh, look at a Shine and Swag. They both end up popping their turtle right there. Actually, all 3 hunters on the side of Perplexed end up popping their turtle to make sure that they are able to bait those. If they get hit by any of the charges, they don't end up immediately perishing.
Yeah, that's what you really do want to avoid immediately perishing as much as possible here. Those charges now going out though. Oh, and pours the mock, gets the pops the dampen harm immediately coming out of the stun. You can get kind of wombo comboed here where you'll use your you'll get hit by the stun and then Volcanic or a concussion grenade will come and kill you before you have control of your character again. So those adult thugs, very important priority targets here. You'll see they're focusing them down. They're doing a good job here. Now they just have to make sure that they avoid Sanguine healing up any of the Peacekeepers on the side of Perplexed. Meanwhile, Method EU still doing this massive pull. Look at how much they are just focusing on boss damage. All of these Peacekeepers still alive. The boss might be the first to die. Zalia is so low. Oh my goodness, that dot is ticking on him. But he is going to be okay. But now it's also getting low.
Oh, Zalia's starting to run out of mana, dude.
Yeah, Zalia is he's not got very much left here in the tank. They do need to make sure that they get this boss taken care of as soon as possible.
So
a lot of defensives
starting to die off, though.
Yeah, Avatar available for now as well. That is a powerful offensive and defensive cooldown for those Prot Warriors.
Yeah, so a strategy that we see a lot in Sanguine Motherload is like your off DPS. We'll end up using Taunt to be able to move mobs outside of Sanguine, but whenever your only Taunt available is on your Mistweaver Monk, that's going to happen with significantly less frequency. So
Pet Taunt there comes out though. You see, keeping one of those Peacekeepers
right
far away. Yeah, Pet Taunt a little bit sketchier, but
yes,
it did do some good work for them. And now Method EU, look at how many Peacekeepers they have involved here. I think this might be more than we've seen out of Paint for Fem. I think this is 8 total Peacekeepers, maybe 9, counting the 2 that have already died.
Yeah, but an important distinction that you need to make whenever you see a bunch of these Peacekeepers. So a lot of the time you'll get the count from the mech jockey whenever it's inside of the Peacekeeper, just because of how they function. But whenever they meld off and drop combat with all of the additional trash, they also lose the +4 count that would be present from those mech jockeys. Method EU very cleanly ends up killing off coin-operated crowd pummeler and all of those Peacekeepers. Maris here is popping his turtle, allowing some of those throw rocks and those earth shocks to hit him while the mobs are being grouped up. Perplexed has pulled coin-operated crowd pummeler. They have a trash advantage, though.
Yeah, so speaking about these two teams, this was, of course, a time trial map. And Perplexed had the faster time trial time in here by a solid 20 seconds. So they might, this is probably a pretty fortunate map pool for them to include that time trial rather than, say, a Taldazar. And look at this trash coming in here. Oh, no.
That's scary trash. No. That's intentionally pulled.
I know, but on the side of Method EU, we had a Now go down.
Oh, Now went down on the side of Method EU. I was busy focusing on Perplexed, where
yeah,
they
me too.
pulled these Mine Rats and Earth Shapers into this boss. This is pretty scary for Divine. That Peacekeeper ends up going down. Now they're killing off coin-operated crowd pummeler. Probably going to bolster kill these mobs right on time with one another to not heal coin-operated crowd pummeler up any.
Method EU skipping towards the boss here. Meld skip is successful after not quite working for a couple seconds there. They're going into this boss here with 46% count. Perplexed a little bit ahead on count, especially because they still have this big trash pool here. And so Perplexed did some of this into boss. We see them CC these two mine rats, and they're going to pull a gigantic pull in this section. This is something that we've only seen Perplexed do so far, but they are pulling huge amounts of trash here, and then they will be following it up with a meld skip that avoids them being in combat with those drillers that are difficult mobs that don't give any count after the extractors die.
Yeah, double extractor here. This is a lot of damage going into Divine because of how many of those Earth Shapers they end up having. The Earth Shapers, of course, do an invisible cast that is the Earth Shock ability.
Yep.
And that does a substantial amount of damage. Everything's starting to drop low here for Perplexed, so we're going to watch their ability to be able to kite out everything. They cancel those final blasts with the Ring of Peace to make sure that all the mobs...
look at those two full health mobs casting their final blast there. Perfect from Perplexed. The extractors are last to die, and out are those drillers, and they are now... They've had enough here. They're not going to bother with those drillers.
Yeah, piecing on out as Perplexed is sitting at a nice 79% trash count. Method U, on the other hand, is sitting at 46%, but they are about 75% ahead of Perplexed in terms of just Azarok's raw boss HP.
Perplexed has an issue on their skip here. That is going to be a 15-second penalty here. Almost the entire difference between these two teams' time trial times.
Yeah. That's pretty rough. Okay, so now look at Perplexed's racials on their hunters. So all three hunters are running that dwarf racial, which is going to allow them to stack up in melee here and take a few melees of the Earth Rager, getting those bleeds on them. Then they will be able to cleanse those bleeds off with that dwarf racial if they do end up getting any. Divine actually has 5 stacks of that bleed right now.
Yeah, sometimes those things will hit your tank under various circumstances. Divine not fixated, but is getting meleeed. I think because they are rooted and their actual melee target is out of range.
Mm-hmm. So now Method EU has down to Azarok. They're making their way through the R&D wing, performing a meld skip. They're at 46% trash count here, so I think the likely
I think we're going to see a kite.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a kite. That's what I was about to say.
Because the reason for that, right, is because 46% means they're getting all the trash in the VMZ.
Oh my god.
What is happening here on my MDI? Method EU has pulled 2 war machines into Rixa Flexflame. That is one more war machine than we've seen before, I believe.
Yeah, so putting on my monocle, that is very dangerous for the tank. And the reason for that being is because Rixa has magic damage melees, and then both of those war machines have a charged shot ability. So all 3 of those things are pretty substantial tank damage. So now's ability to be able to survive this is paramount to this pull's success. And there's also Sanguine to be dealt with. You saw that Ring of Peace come out for Zalia to be able to deal with some of that, knocking one of those mobs out of melee. Those war machines and Rixa herself cannot be knocked by any CC, so you have to have perfect kiting on all 3 of those whenever they do start getting low here momentarily.
Perplexed about to down Azarok here. They are still ahead on trash count, but yeah, half a boss fight here behind in Tyrannical, a Tyrannical boss fight as well. I think that these teams are basically even right now in terms of time. I think that they are on pace for a neck-and-neck photo finish at the end of this run.
Oh, absolutely. So that 58% trash count, it takes a long time to be able to deal with the trash that is in that VMZ wing.
Yeah, it's 2 pulls, I think, ahead of Method EU in there. Unless they found a way to do it all in one.
Okay.
There are 2 war machines up there and like a bunch of Sky Scorchers. The Sky Scorchers, really problematic mobs to pull too many of.
I don't think you could do it in one pull just because of the sheer amount of Sky Scorchers that you'd have to deal with, right?
Perplexed now into Rixa Flexflame. They are
80%,
yeah, 80% of Rixa Flexflame's health behind, but 1.5, maybe 2 trash pulls ahead. Perplexed not pulling the War Machine pull in at the start of the boss fight. We'll see if they choose to do it later towards the end of the boss fight, as they do still need a little bit of count themselves, just not the entire wing.
Yeah, so I think it's assumed at this point that Perplexed is going to be playing their obelisks, so they probably need to get it to the 92 to 94% range on enemy forces count. So they either have one very large pull into Rixa, or one very large pull after
Method
Rixa
EU is pulling the entire VMZ.
Oh my god.
Okay, except for the final pack right in front of the boss. They're pulling everything else all together. Out come the Bloods of the enemy. Huge damage coming out from those hunters. This is a massive amount of count to get all at once. Beautiful Ring of Peace from Zalia, preventing Sanguine from healing everything up.
Yeah, you saw Zalia immediately popping Dampen Harm as soon as that pack got pulled too.
Oh, Gingy goes down.
Okay,
that was rough. He got hit by 2 of those mines. And they leave a nasty physical bleed that is pretty tough to handle when a lot of other damage is coming out. Those Sky Scorchers are now jumping around, using those Azurite Heartseekers. They need to make sure that they soak these with now, ideally. Otherwise, it does pretty serious damage, as you can see the frag.
Yeah, Gingy still did have his turtle available to him, but he was... I don't know what he would be.
Well, at that point, you've got this bleed on you. Turtle is not going to make you immune to that.
And he's going to be... well, I mean, he could turtle the initial hit, but like...
yes.
And he's going to need the turtle for this boss. There's no way that he's actually able to use it here.
All right, we are now going to potentially see a chain pull from Method EU into that last War Machine. Yep, there it is. They are doing the rest of the VMZ now. Meanwhile, Perplexed is doing one big pull, and they will be ready to go to the last boss.
Even in count right here.
Yep, the two teams even up, but the difference is that Perplexed is planning to fight the awakened enemies, whereas Method EU is planning to kite them. Zamok taking huge damage there. Has a dot from that artillery barrage.
Artillery barrage kiting them?
Method EU?
Are they going to get 100% from this pull?
Oh yeah, look, there's a War Machine in here and like 70 goblins.
A War Machine is really efficient. Yeah. A War Machine's 12 count. So yeah, that's pretty efficient. Perplexed here, sitting at a nice 96%. They're making their way up towards Mogul Razdunk, electing to not kite.
Okay, you might be right. This might not be 100% for Method EU. I think it will be, but it might be close.
It's good. No. They have the War Machine left alive. I think you're right. They have 2 mobs still. The double Sky Scorchers are 5 count per.
Oh, Gingy goes down again on the side of Method EU. Meanwhile, Perplexed getting ready to pull the boss here, and you're right, yeah, 95%, 96, 97 for Method EU, so that is not 100. Okay, so they might be planning to do awakened enemies here. 96% on the side of Perplexed. Perplexed fighting those awakened enemies here with the boss, pulling the boss first. Let's see what's happening here. Xaylia pops Dampen, so I believe that means that they are going to kite. Where are they going to get this last count from? I wonder. So yeah, Xaylia transcends out. All 4 awakened enemies going away. I wonder if Xaylia is going to get this count. I wonder if Xaylia is going to kill mines while kiting, and just collect the last count as part of his kiting route. That would be incredible to see, but it is a possibility.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Perplexed. Yeah, so Perplexed, you can see already that Mogul Razdunk is even now for the two teams, despite the fact that Perplexed killed it for... Oh, Zamok goes down, and a Shine goes down on the side of Perplexed. They have 2 battle reses here, but they need to be able to survive to actually cast them here. Divine is taking huge damage from all of these enemies.
The Blood of the Corruptor is still alive, too, creating... pollution on the ground, which makes it really hard to be able to get anybody out. Zamok actually ends up getting res. A Shine's still down. Method EU here. Xaylia's just kiting the mob around. Mogul Razdunk is down to 60%, but that's a death equalizer. That is tragic for Plex. Zamok goes down again. Oh no, man. This is going
to be a boss reset from Perplexed, but it's not going to be the end necessarily because it still matters whether or not Method EU are able to kill here. And I don't see a boss.
Look at the mines on Method.
Yeah, they've got the they've got the they got the mines there, so that is exactly what they're going to do. Is they're going to kill those mines later. Xaylia is collecting mines, and they will at the end of the dungeon, he'll bring them into Mogul Razdunk and kill them. That is so genius from Method EU.
He's just grabbing all the mines. That's hilarious, actually.
That's what I like to see. This is the part of the kite that they have to be careful of, because this is the hardest U-turn, and they're pretty close to the actual boss fight. This is where it went wrong for them before.
So we've seen the boss reset here because Xaylia got just very minorly too close, and then the boss fixates him with the charge down, and then just like yeets himself out of the arena and resets immediately.
Yeah, Mogul Razdunk 40
death.
Yes, a death on their skip. They're still their win condition hasn't changed here. They need this to be a wipe from Method EU's side. If it's not a wipe from Method EU, then Perplexed is going to lose. But if Method EU does wipe, Perplexed gets another shot here at this last boss with these obelisks.
How many mines is that?
That is a large number.
He pops his dampen right there. Do you expect to get melee?
Also, going through the water there takes some damage.
The water is real bad.
Yeah. Yeah, the first time we saw him Cocoon going in there. Oh, and he's going to teleport back over.
Good to spawn himself.
Good job, yeah. Procs another mine, and there. I wonder if he's just gonna kill them himself, or what? I wonder if he'll enlist the aids of the hunters.
Into them. I think that's what he may do.
Just yeets on in there, yeah. We'll see. All right, so there it is. Boss dead. Method EU does have to get that count. Yeah, wave the crane, spinning crane kick. Needs to get those mines. Yeah, I wonder if he can just run into them.
He has to tag them to get count. No. He has to tag them.
All right, and there come the multi-shots. There's the 100%.
Dude.
Method EU taking the first game in this series.
Wow. All right, that is some kiting. with extra I don't even know they would give extra responsibilities, but they absolutely did. And Method EU winning once again in some big style there, Zyro.
I mean, that was a sub 15 Motherload run, dude. That's crazy fast. And the crazy thing to me is Motherload, it used to be one of the longest dungeons we had. I mean, if you think back to the beginning of the MDI last year, teams got 90% of the trash count at the start of the dungeon, but Method EU just getting 30% of the trash at the start of the dungeon, then clearing off the rest of the dungeon after the third boss, Rix and Flux Flame, just so they could kite. The way that teams are changing their strategies in these dungeons based off the Awakened affix is it's truly impressive, and Method EU once again wowing us with a strategy that no other team has been able to even come close to.
That's right, and grabbing all of the mines. I was really expecting him to just like spin, like roll, and then spin in there really quickly and just die to all of the mines, but they actually ended up kiting it. They actually ended up killing all of it throughout Dranos. So look, that is some excellent master routing.
Yeah, that is in the expert route next week. Wait for it there.
You're gonna ask people to kite obelisks in your expert route?
Yeah, man. I'll just draw a little circle.
I mean,
there.
they gotta be experts, right? So
maybe I'm a Dranos beginner route kind of guy.
I'll just put a link to this VOD here at this timestamp and show Zaylia doing it and be like, just do that. I don't understand why it's so hard.
Exactly. This guy did it. All right. Outside of the amazing kiting strat, what else do you have to show us, Ira?
I think the most impressive part of this run, for me, I don't know about you guys, was the initial pull that Method EU set up, where they run through the entire area, triggering all the mech jockeys, drop aggro with any extra mobs that they might have pulled on, except the only non-peacekeepers they end up actually killing in this first pull is those two mobs right before coin-operated Crowd Pummeler's room. They end up killing 11 peacekeepers on top of the coin-operated Crowd Pummeler, and with minimal Sanguine healing too. There's like 1 or 2 Sanguine ticks on one of the peacekeepers. That's it. That management of, now knowing which direction to kite mobs is probably one of the most impressive things of this dungeon. And of course, being able to pull off the kiting in Motherload. It's the first time we've seen it done. They tried it 2 weeks ago, couldn't quite pull it off, but they're able to pull it off here and come up with a sub 15-minute run. But one other thing I want to point out, as impressive as Method EU's run was, Perplexed actually had a faster time in time trials by about 25 seconds, so I kind of wonder what went wrong for them here. Obviously, they had the deaths on the board, but we know they could go faster here, so that's kind of scary to think about.
Yeah.
Well, another place that they could go faster is pulling.
Wow.
We saw Method EU pull double War Machine into Rixa. If Perplexed is able to do that, that is a very large time save for their run.
Yeah, that's a 1330 or something Motherload if under best case circumstances, but still, and that did not look like a particularly easy pull for Method EU. They made it look easy, but it's still that's challenging.
Well, Sanguine healing too, dude. Like you have to be able to kite all of the Sanguine out of that. I was astonished that they were able to pull that off.
Now, it's just like so much heavy pressure, not necessarily on like having a wipe, but it's also just making sure the mobs aren't going to heal too much, because when you get all of those peacekeepers, and I'm amazed still that the tanks aren't just like randomly running in and getting murdered by them, and finding the right times to dip in, deal damage, run away, while taking care of any of the soccer bombs that are going off on top of it. That prep work is just ridiculous, and it just goes to show. I mean, we talked about it a lot with like live keys and stuff, Tettles, but having one dedicated group for a very long period of time to learn dungeons with goes a super long way.
Oh, absolutely. Synergy is one of the most important elements in the MDI, and amount of practice time that you're able to put through. You need some huge brain people to be able to come up with some strategies, but then you also just need people that are always on the same page as everybody else. And whenever all of those things come together, it looks miraculous. Like, look at that. That run by Method EU is a work of art. Dude, if Perplexed doesn't wipe on the final boss, how close is that?
I think Perplexed still loses as a result of the earlier time losses that they had, but it would have been very close, yeah.
I mean, even in time trials, Perplexed had a faster time at 14:26, so, it's not like they were just impossible and unable to be able to catch up to Method EU or anything like that. It's just making sure you're able to put about as close of time possible to your time trials whenever you're going into it. So, we look at the next dungeon we got coming up with King's Rest. It's par for the course in terms of hunters, but what else are we going to be really looking at here, Zyro?
Well, the thing that I'm looking at is the fact that Method EU dropped this map to Deplete from Beyond in a map where they played perfectly. I think they had one death before the final boss where they just had a comedy of errors happen. If you remember, Genji got targeted by that Quaking Leap from King Dazar, tried to disengage, but he actually had the Fear Circle on him from Samrak Beckoner of Chaos as well, so his disengage got canceled, got bopped by the boss, couldn't get the res off, and everything kind of cascaded from there. They ended up wiping on King Dazar, and Deplete from Beyond ended up taking that map. So knowing the way the method of you guys think, like, they've probably put a little bit of extra prep into this map in King's Rest, because we know they're really good at this map. They had a sub 20-minute run in time trials 2 weeks ago. These guys know this map incredibly well, so I don't expect to see them make any mistakes this time around.
Yeah, that's right. Let's see how they do as game number 2 is rolling on right now in King's Rest with Method of You up 1.
So you see the tanks kind of stealthing on by. Now is standing right on top of where those minions of Zul end up spawning. Where Divine is standing in a different position. He lets the Hunter, he lets a Shine turtle and be able to deal with those minions of Zul himself. So Divine is starting in a little bit different position. But the strategy is similar for both tanks here. Tank all of these mobs on top of the corner. Making sure that all these mobs stay grouped up for the majority of this pull is the key element here. It's how you save the most time in a substantial pull like this. Divine is looking to kite back towards that back edge of the room, where now is kiting using these little fire gauntlet things to be able to line of sight those deathly chills from those witch doctors. Perplexed and Method of You both using Ring of Peace to keep the mob stacked up, and the pull dies within mere seconds of one another for both teams.
Yeah, Method of You getting a slight advantage there, though, killing it a few seconds ahead of time. Now is going to go and pull some robots into the Golden Serpent here, and I think he also, yeah, they also pulled the minions of Zul. Meanwhile, Perplexed doing the exact same thing over there, although for them it is going to be a Shine on the mission to go and grab stuff rather than Divine.
So Shine went and grabbed it because he was already in position, and basically he can just end up like tricksing Divine and get the mobs onto him. Whereas Divine, because Divine was kiting towards that outer edge of the room, it just made a little bit more sense. Both Method of You and Perplexed within 5% of one another, doing mirrored pulls right here. Both have animated guardians right on top of the Golden Serpent.
Yeah, Method of You accumulating a slight advantage as a result of the first pull going a little bit better for them than it did for Perplexed. Now doing a good job there. He's just tanking those Serpentine Gusts, but he's backing himself up against the wall here. That's going to mean that those Suppression Slams are never aimed at the group, and that he never loses uptime or separates those Guardians from the boss, which is all going to be a DPS increase for Method of You, at the cost of now taking a big chunk of damage every time that cast goes off. And it looks like he's actually going to run away from it this time.
I have a question that you would potentially know. Do you know if the Hunter pets get hit by the Suppression Slam if they get stunned?
I don't believe they do.
I wouldn't believe that they do either, but they will get stunned or feared by something. So it just kind of depends on the mobs or the ability, right?
Yeah, the rule is that they are kind of immune to stuff, and the exception is certain abilities do still hit them.
Okay, fair. Like Samrak Fear hits it.
Yeah, Samrak Fear is...
That's why I was asking, right? It's because of Samrak Fear specifically. There's also other things that can stun them. Like the Spirit Totem in Underrot.
Yes, yeah, that's a fun one. Whenever you're just wondering why your kill command button isn't working. Always a good feeling.
So Perplexed here, maintaining that 5 to 6% boss health disparity. Method of You going to be down in Golden Serpent just a little bit ahead, and then they will be running into the Gauntlet room. You will have eventually Zalia and Zamak on their respective teams going and grabbing the 2 extra animated Guardians that they do need count-wise to prolong this dungeon. So now you actually have the boss go down on both sides, and you're seeing that unfold.
Zalia on his mission right away.
Zamak
whereas on the side of Perplexed, yeah, it looks like Zamak is also on that mission. So they are going to go and collect the remaining 2 animated Guardians and bring them in. They'll probably arrive by the second Gauntlet pull here. These 2 teams here, neck and neck pace. It's absolutely going to be decided by if either team makes a mistake. That's going to be the team that loses, almost certainly. Method of You, I think, dangerous to count on them making a mistake in the same map twice in one weekend. I don't think they've ever done that before, so that would be unprecedented.
Well, these dungeons are on a knife's edge, I will admit. Like,
that is certainly true,
it's so easy to make mistakes here.
Method of You just so consistent at these kinds of things.
True. So now here are these animated Guardians waddling in for both sides. It looks like I'm watching the exact same match twice in a row. Now the King and the Guard Captain pack have been engaged on both sides. Those animated Guardians just being stacked up and cleaved as a group. The Hunter's kind of popping off on both sides.
Yeah, those hunters, very happy to, there's a lot of mechanics here that would cause some classes to lose some damage. Hunters are not among them. Hunters are pretty much unaffected by everything in terms of their damage output. Part of the reason that they are so good at these massive hectic pulls where there's all kinds of abilities to dodge and abilities zoning players. Everybody else affected by those, but yeah, hunters, they don't give a bother.
Yeah, so those animated guardians actually go down moments quicker for Method EU than on the side of Perplexed. Perplexed leaves them up for just a little bit longer. Now both teams are onto that King and Queen Gauntlet mob, the Blade Storm / Seduction mobs. Ooh, was that a baited seduction on the Wolf Disco with that immunity?
Could well be. Could well be.
How the seduction works is it will target only players that are at range. Basically, if you're in melee range of the queen, then you can't get the seduction cast onto you. So Wolf Disco sitting in that turtle, standing at range because he had the Blade Storm right on top of him. I think he also baited that seduction on him. So that's actually a super good heads-up play by Wolf Disco BBQ.
And that actually is going to lead to Perplexed being slightly ahead now. Perplexed has made up the gap in boss health percentage, and thanks to that play, they are going to be killing this pack. Well, they pulled it before Method EU did, but Method EU are kind of blasting off on the DPS meters and are actually going to kill it before Perplexed does. Now I think there comes a possibility for divergence between the pathing of these two teams. Let's see what they decide to do. Method EU skipping that obelisk, whereas Perplexed also skipping that obelisk. Yeah, so this is kind of to be expected. A 4 obelisk with the King Dazar is what we've already seen out of Method EU. It is very hectic, but neither team going to back down from that so far.
So Purification Construct gets pulled to the side by both sides. It is teaming, so there is an additional Purification Construct inside of this room that will end up patrolling around. I suspect that we're going to see the animated guardians, these Entomb Guardians pulled with the Purification Construct all in one pull from both sides. And as I say that, we're watching Perplex actually slowly pull that Purification Construct. They don't pull it immediately in, whereas Method EU grabs it all at once.
Yeah, Method EU not wasting any time there. They are just going to get right into the entire pull. And they are certainly opening up a little bit of an advantage here. Their mobs will be dying quite a bit faster than Perplexed's. Perplexed could maybe make this up by pulling into the boss a little bit earlier before this pack is all done. Method EU are moving into the boss right now. I think Perplexed is going to wait. Oh, nope, they're going right into the boss as well. Okay, so yeah, both teams doing a good job here. This is actually going to mean that this should still be pretty close.
So Method EU downed one of their internment constructs almost immediately, and then was just like letting one sit alive for a little while to allow for a little bit more cleave, where Perplexed was having both internment constructs just kind of chill there. Now we only have the Purification Construct left alive on the side of Perplexed, and Method EU has killed that Purification Construct. Fairly dangerous. Both teams now preparing to be able to get their friend out of the Entomb, making sure that Machimba will then no longer do any mechanics. You do have one mummy actually spawned on the side of Perplexed that they are dealing with. They're keeping it alive for rapid reload. This is insane.
Yeah, this is, they have enough interrupts to deal with it. They're not going to focus any damage into it. They will just be getting multi-shot benefit from it, thanks to that Hunter trait. So pretty cool strategy coming out from Perplexed. Meanwhile, Method EU not bothering with that kind of strategy at all. They've already killed their Purification Construct as well, so they wouldn't be able to get access to that 3+ target cleave anyways. Perplexed a little bit behind though on boss health here, perhaps getting a little bit too fancy, ending up being a little bit slower on killing the boss.
For those who don't know, those mummies actually cast an ability called Wretched Discharge, and if the ability goes off, then you get a disease on everybody, and it one hits you 100 to 0. It's pretty bad.
You do have Revival available from both teams, so I think that one cast would not actually be an immediate wipe, but it would it would certainly be bad.
Absolutely. So now Perplexed and Method EU. Perplexed is still 10% boss HP behind, so the gap neither widened nor shortened, even with that addition of the rapid reload. There was absolutely nothing that changed between the two.
All right, now we're going to get to see the bridge pull that claimed Now's life yesterday. I'm not sure if you saw this, but he tweeted out a picture of what happened. Yeah, so he went in to try and double reflect the 2 spectral bolts, but he got targeted by the frost shock from the Witch Doctor between when he pressed reflect and when those bolts went out. So his reflect got consumed reflecting that frost shock, and then he got hit by 2 spectral bolts and a brute melee and
I thought he
disappeared.
got in the back, and I was like, he just died 100 to 0. It was kind of random. But yeah, so now here the reflect goes out on those spectral bolts. Now is hard chilling at this point. He also gets hit by the frost shock, but the witch doctor's first cast was not frost shock here.
Yeah, he did a good job there of saving his reflect until the very last second this time, whereas last time what caused the problem was reflecting immediately on pull.
Yeah, Method U is doing a really good job of killing off this Healing Tide Totem, so sometimes you'll actually just kite the mobs out of the Healing Tide Totem, and the advantage of that is that it
won't recast another, yeah.
Yeah, okay, that was kind of scary. That's why I paused there momentarily. But it won't cast another one, like I was saying. But whenever you have that many mobs, it's hard to move everything out with just like a Ring of Peace or whatnot. Perplexed also immediately down in their Healing Tide Totem. Method U and Perplexed doing a very similar pull here. Perplexed Spectral Brute is about at 50%-ish HP here. Method U is starting to get a little bit further of a lead now.
Yeah, they're going to be using this pseudo-shroud skip with the obelisk, so Gingy is in camouflage and running down the bridge in the real world. The rest of the team is in the awakened world, and Gingy will now be pulling the boss and yoinking the entire Method U team out of the awakened realm. They will not be dealing with the spider, just using the obelisk for the skip. Perplexed doing the same strategy here. Oh, a shine, though, gets seen by the brute. That is very, very, very bad news. His turtle is active right now, but how is he going to make it all the way through here? I don't know. I think they might have to mass res him.
Oh, that's...
Yeah, I don't think that was going to work, so they're going to now need to commit a mass res.
Oh.
But they can't because they're in combat with the spider. So they can meld off here and then mass res, maybe. But Divine doesn't have meld because he is playing a dwarf. So Divine is going to have to die. That's going to reset everything. Zamak is going to cast mass res. Hopefully a shine is in range of that. But this has been a costly mistake that certainly leaves the door open now to Method EU getting the win here. Without any mistakes on the side of Method EU, that will definitely be what happens.
This is a catastrophe. No. Yeah, now Method EU has already down Cool the Butcher. They're now on to Xanazal the Wise, the second mob of this council fight. Basically, he'll end up summoning the totems. The meta strategy in MDI is to not kill the Torrent Totem or the Thundering Totem. They're going to immediately kill the Explosive Totem and the Earth Wall Totem. And once those go down, then they'll focus all of their damage into Xanazal, making sure that they don't get a second round of totems. That'll speed up everything pretty quickly because that Earth Totem, I don't even know what it is.
Earth Wall, yeah.
Earth Wall Totem. It puts a shield on Xanazal. Basically.
Yeah, the Thunder and Crash Totem and the Torrent Totem, those can be pretty annoying for some DPS players, but when your composition is 3 hunters, they are completely unaffected by movement or by spell locking, so they just don't care at all about either of those totems.
Yeah, Zelia.
Yeah, Zelia does care about them, unfortunately, but healers notoriously not people, so they don't get a say in what happens with the totems.
I'm doubling down. Healers are not real people, no matter what Automatic Jack or JB will tell you. Absolutely just not people.
So yeah, there's a full boss in this council fight, now separating the two teams as Perplexed just starting on Xanazal the Wise, whereas Method Ali on Akali the Conqueror, who is the third of 3.
Did you just call them Method Ali?
Method EU. I was trying to say Akali. Yeah. But it's definitely possible. It's definitely possible.
So now look at Method EU. They're chaining Feign Deaths here on Akali to cancel this barrel through over and over again, allowing now to do more damage on the boss. Sometimes you can get Akali to queue up a brutal backhand ability and then cast that barrel through. That would be ideal for now to be able to do a significant amount of damage. But you see the backhand coming out here.
Yeah, Perplexed actually just let their explosive totem go off. That's going to let them kill Xanazal fairly quickly here. I think it's a bit of a time save for them. They just didn't target it at all. They just killed the Earth Wall and let the explosive through.
Yeah, so we've seen that happen from a few teams where they just do that. Currently, Perplexed is one full council boss behind due to those issues that they incurred on that bridge.
Yeah, a Shine's camouflage was not quite good enough to let him get... He got too close to the Brute in camouflage and just got detected. Camouflage, not the strongest of stealths.
Should have invested in a sneaking potion, I see.
True.
Not available on the tournament realm.
They are available on live keys, though. They're good.
Yes. Sneaking potion is a BC potion that you can craft or buy in the auction house, and it gives you improved stealth. Basically, it gives every class like Camouflage for Hunters or Druid Stealth that is notably not that sick. It gives them even better stealth. So you can use that.
It's basically a way if you have a non-rogue stealth to promote it into a rogue stealth.
Pretty much.
Although it's still not quite as good as rogue stealth, I don't think, but it's a lot better. Yeah, people have been using those on live keys. Method of You finished off their trash pull there. They're going to move into their famous trash onto Shadow of Zul pull. This is one of the things that saves them so much time in this dungeon compared to other teams. Yeah, they are on blazing pace through this dungeon. Just 15 minutes have passed, and they are pulling Shadow of Zul. Unfortunate spawn of that AoE circle there is going to require Miraz to stand in it.
Yeah, so you can actually outrange that pool that Miraz is standing in, and it's a pretty short range. But whenever you have a lot of trash that is pulled into the boss, your space is even further restricted because you have stuff like the Hunting Leap from the Raptor, or this Beastmaster doing Poison Barrage / Deadeye Shot. So you do see them chaining standing into this puddle because it just makes a little bit more sense for how they're doing the dungeon. Oh goodness, there's a Hunting Leap right on top of me. Okay, that is a sick turtle.
Very good play from Miraz, yeah. He's going to exit the turtle before the next damage comes out, but that's fine. That is not too much damage at all.
That was a lot of mechanics all at once that I would have been very scared about.
Ooh, Minion Azul there does get eventually purged by one of those Spirit Beasts. Method of You now onto the last boss with 4 obelisks. Their success rate on this boss has been 50%, 50-50 so far this weekend. They wiped it the first time they tried it. They were on pace to kill it before they lost the match to Deplete from Beyond. So here we go. They're pulling it once again. 4 obelisks with King Dazar on Tyrannical. This is not easy at all. A lot going on here.
Okay. Also take note that one of the active affixes for King's Rest currently is Grievous. Mistweaver monks are notoriously fairly mana hungry, especially in this Grievous environment. So being able to top everybody up and get them out of Grievous quickly is a very important job for Xaylia. Xaylia drops to 9% HP. I believe he was standing in that Dark Fury. I mean, he doesn't get one shot, so everything's okay. Frag with the turtle. He immediately cancels the turtle because he had that fear. He had the fear on him. Then he... Okay, so they pushed King Dazar to be able to cancel that Quaking Leap. That's what canceled that.
Yeah, good job there by the members of Method EU, keeping this damage consistent. They need to kill off these awakened enemies, though, before too many more abilities go through. That's another cast of Fear. Luckily, they didn't overlap it with a Quaking Leap, and the Fear guy is down now. They just have the Blob and Urgroth, Breaker of Heroes, left. Not too much more that can go wrong for them.
Do you think that the guys from Method EU should be playing Dwarf?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that they're not. I'm not quite sure what they're getting out of Night Elf. Yeah.
Yeah, all 3 of the Perplexed Hunters are playing that Dwarf, probably due to the overabundance of bleeds that are in the dungeon, stuff like Cool the Butcher, and the Berserkers. But a notable advantage of playing Dwarf is the fact that you can dispel off that Samrak the Beckoner fear. Like, look at Perplexed right here. All 2 of their Hunters use their Dwarf racial on that first set of the spheres, allowing Zamock to hold his revival for a little bit longer.
On the other hand, Meld lets you there are a lot of targeted casts in this dungeon, like Spit Gold and the Charge from Akali the Conqueror, that can be melded, and you don't necessarily have Feign up for every one of those. So I can definitely see the argument both ways.
Absolutely. You can absolutely make the argument either direction. It's just something that's interesting because we saw them get punished for not playing Dwarf. So Xaylia pretty low on mana here. King Dazar has been dismounted from Tazala, so now it's just a pretty clean burn. As long as Xaylia is able to get everybody out of Grievous, and
as long as they can avoid those heat-seeking tornadoes, yeah.
Yeah, they should be fine. They also do have 2 battle reses available, so even if Xaylia is fairly tapped on mana, they should be good to go.
Yeah, Feign Deathing those Quaking Leaps is going to do a great job. Every Quaking Leap basically puts everybody into Grievous, so the longer they can delay those from going off, the fewer they can get in the course of this fight, the easier it's going to be for Xaylia. The longer they can delay those from going off, the fewer they can get in the course of this fight, the easier it's going to be for Xaylia to heal everybody up.
King Dazar dropping sub 25% from the side of Method EU. Perplexed is still on Tazala. Those mistakes that they made in the Obelisk realm with those deaths on both the Shine and Divine may end up coming back to bite them. Unfortunately, looks like Method EU is going to be taking this series 2-0 though.
Yeah, Method EU with a blazing fast time here as well, 1915 or something on King's Rest, Tyrannical. Whew.
I've absolutely been putting on a clinic, and it seems like we're not even really getting a chance to see that many Method EU games because they've just been ending ridiculously quickly, Zyro.
Yeah, unsurprised.